Hello, my name is Daniel Friedberg. I'm a medical student at the University of Ottawa, and I'm a teacher, teaching artist. I have been doing and playing music my whole life, and I'm a pianist and a vocalist by training. I went to the Claude Watson School of the Arts for music in high school, and then I sang in the McMaster University Choir for 3 years. I've loved music my entire life, and as I said, and I think it has a profound impact on so many facets. I know one of my students has been dealing with probably a lot of grief due to the loss of a family member, and I know a lot of students are feeling the impact of just not being able to see their friends because of the pandemic and its effects. I've definitely dealt with grief. I had quite a tough period back in my third year of my undergrad degree where I had a very tough separation, and there was so much, emotion to go through, and just ups and downs and sadness, and grief is a long, tough process. Also just dealing with, the constant stress of school, the subsequent burnout that causes. Burnout is really tough because it feels very debilitating. You lose interest in a lot of the things you normally love to do, and you are low on your energy, and it's a tough spot to be in. There are a lot of things you can do to combat it, mainly like resting and recharging. Just putting myself in their shoes, they must have been very, very sad. I know when I was grieving, it impacted my studies. I wasn't able to focus. Social interaction was a lot harder. Again, it can be quite debilitating. And the same thing with burnout. It really impacts your ability to keep up relationships and put effort into the things you love to do. So I'm sure it has a lot of impacts on a diverse range of things in that area as well. Music is such an amazing emotional outlet, and especially in situations of grief, where there's so much pent-up emotion, it completely allows you to vent that and process it, and to be mindful and feel that grief. In my opinion, very healthy in the long run. I think especially in those younger ages, it is tough to know exactly what they're experiencing, and their brains are developing, and they might feel emotions differently than adults would, or they might react with different emotions from a given stimulus than someone else would. I think in that sense, I haven't really received much feedback from students who were experiencing these emotional difficulties because they are younger and it's harder for them to necessarily express that or open up about it. We respected their privacy in that situation. I think even seeing other students in their singing class over Zoom and being part of that vocal class community was supportive, at least in some way, and I can only hope that they felt more connected, felt more supported by the other students and the teachers there, like I said before, to maintain privacy and not intrude on their lives and their losses and their griefs. I didn't speak to the student much about their experience with class in dealing with their loss. Because of the grief that they were experiencing, as they were engaged with class less, they probably didn't have as much of a chance to connect with other students as they normally would. So it definitely impacted their relationship in that sense. But on the flip side, if you don't talk about grief and you're more talking about the isolation that all of us or many of us have felt during the pandemic, I just get to connect with all these wonderful kids and fellow teachers. So I'm sure the kids who often probably felt isolated because of the pandemic felt the same way. In our chamber group right now, we're singing Count on Me by Bruno Mars, which is a very warm, collegial, supportive song. That's literally in the message of the title. And what's really beautiful is there are some students that have siblings in the class, so when they sing together and they sing, "You can count on me," like 1, 2, 3, I'll be there, it feels, even if they're not singing directly to each other, it feels like they are really, feeling supported and feeling positive. Music has so much to do with emotion that I'm sure they feel a lot of that. Find any way possible to integrate music that you like into your life. And there are so many ways to engage with music, whether it is buying a pair of earphones and either, plugging it into a phone or a device, or even buying like a secondhand or used iPod, whatever is accessible to you. So uplifting sometimes, so motivating. If it's possible, depending on the student's circumstance, I would so highly recommend finding a public piano somewhere, that maybe at a friend's house. If you can, find a way to engage with actual instruments so you're actively playing and not just listening, because that just, in my opinion, takes it to a whole nother level and allows you to engage that much more. Music is so emotionally involved and relieving. It is anxiety combating, stress relieving, lots of other positive benefits that I think students would really do well with. Yeah, so the combination of consistency and regularity in anything is just a perfect recipe for growth. So in that sense, structured listening to music on a consistent basis, I think, can really help you. We're talking about the emotions that are preceding. So whatever emotions those are, regular listening to music definitely benefit in allowing you to process those emotions in a longer term timeline. Especially if you're deeply focused and concentrated on them, it really allows you to tune into the melody and to tune into the message of the music, feel those emotions and work through them properly. That effect of processing the emotion through music, I think, can be really heightened through the act of journaling, which allows you to put what you're feeling into words and is therefore really beneficial. It takes the magic of music that you normally would feel within yourself and allows you to put that into a whole nother dimension, because you're now using that to connect with another person. And not only are you sharing your music with them, but they are sharing their music with you. And that forms, in my opinion, a very strong musical bond where, honestly, my music playlist is an intimate part of my life, and I share that with my close friends. So it definitely builds that connection between two people. It's very motivating to see progress in them. So as I mentioned earlier, if you're consistently listening to music and sharing your music with friends and them sharing with yours, and then seeing how your emotions change because of that, can be very empowering and very motivating to continue listening to music and improving your health and wellness. It's a stimulating activity, really makes you engage in the process, and you have to put in effort. And if you practice at it consistently enough, you will definitely progress, whether you're musical or not. It's an amazing thing to do, and feels very good to learn a new skill like that. And then you have the added layer of that you're making music, which, as we discussed, is really emotionally beneficial. And writing songs kind of adds on top of that. So not only are you learning to play an instrument, but you're also writing songs, maybe using that instrument to express or further express exactly what you're feeling. So it's specific to you, and again, can be very empowering, and it's like journaling in that sense. My fourth year thesis actually looked at the effect of music on stress and anxiety reduction in university students. And I can tell you that music, as I mentioned earlier, is such a powerful tool in stress reduction and helping cope with anxiety and depression and any other negative states of mind that one might be experiencing. And that's because the brain centers that we use to process music and to perceive music are so interconnected with the other faculties in our brain. Those are all used to process music as well, because music has all of those facets. By listening to music, you're actually activating all those parts of the brain and activating emotion. Started off loving music because of how it made me feel. It made me feel happy, just allowed me to enjoy life. And then I realized that music also helps me connect with others. So whether it's like playing guitar and singing around a campfire, it connects us on a level that we don't necessarily get if we're just connecting by talking to each other or spending time with each other. It activates those emotional centers in our brain, and I think allows us to connect to a higher level. So I really feel that music has brought me together with a lot of people. It's had a profound impact on my ability to be resilient and cope with grief and cope with stress and balance my life so that I can keep studying, keep, being myself and enjoying what's around me. I don't know if the field of healthcare quite or pays enough heed to the power of music in increasing, bolstering mental health. Music has a measurable, real effect on your brain and therefore on your thoughts and emotions and your cognition. So music is so powerful as a tool to help mental health. And I really would love for awareness of that to be spread, not just throughout the general community or society, but specifically in the field of healthcare, because as practitioners we have the power to use these healthcare tools or different tools to heal people, and music is such a powerful healing tool.